and welcome to Fika for Life!
Yay!
My name is Linh and my co-host is
Edward Thomas.
Yay!
Yay!
And today we have another special episode because we wanted to answer the second part of our listeners' comment.
Yes, we do.
On our episode called Making Decisions Part 1.
Yes.
So before you listen to our podcast now, maybe if you have never listened to the Making Decisions Part 1, do it now and then come back to us. And for those of you who maybe recently have done it, well,
do it again.
Yeah, do it again.
Refresh yourself.
Or Making Decisions Part 1 was basically about how to make decisions.
And that's why it's titled Making Decisions. That's really good. See, people think that we just make this stuff up, but no.
But we don't.
This is exactly how we think.
So Ed, can you give us the background of today's episode?
Well, like always, we're really happy when a listener comes and gives us a comment or asks a question. So part 2 of the question says this: the answer is in the Bible. The Bible tells us how to act in most situations where doing the right decision, probably making the right decision, is important. If it's not mentioned in the Bible anyway, then you're in no risk of sinning.
Well, this listener, apparently, like we said last time, is moving in the Christian sphere because
Yes.
the listener is talking about the Bible, talking about sinning. Can you give us some kind of context, Ed?
Well, yes. For those of you who do not know what sin is, in a Christian context, you'll hear people talking a lot about sin. And sin is the things that we do that are wrong that God is holding us responsible for.
That are wrong and that God is holding us responsible for.
So the things that we do that are wrong, that God holds us responsible for. And those things are always tied to us breaking His law. So God has given us instructions for how we are to live, how we are to relate to Him, to the planet, and to each other. And when we break those laws, either by doing what He said not to or not doing what He said to do, then that's called sin. And sin has a consequence, which means death, and ultimately we'll be judged for that, and then there will be eternal judgment. So that's why sin is so big, because if sin isn't forgiven, eternal judgment and the wrath of God. Ooh, that's not good. But if sin is forgiven, that gives us a new situation where we can actually end up in paradise with God. So that's why in a Christian environment, understanding, like, it's really important to know when I sin, because if I sin, then I need to seek forgiveness from God, and also to know when I don't sin, so that I don't have false guilt or false shame for something that is not sinful. So not everything that's bad is sinful.
Can you give us an example?
Of what? Everything that's not bad?
Something that's bad, but it's not sinful. Because you just say it so nonchalant. So I thought...
but I didn't have anything specific in my head at the time, because then I would have to sit down and research and think very deeply.
Research about in your head.
No, but...
is smoking sinful?
Depends on which Christian group you ask. Certain things like that, no. It might be...
It depends on... No.
Smoking, and I know I'm going to get in trouble for this, smoking is a stupid thing to do, but it is not necessarily a sinful thing to do. It always depends.
It's a bad thing, but God didn't write in...
God never said don't smoke. He never said don't drink. For those Christian groups that say that God said not to drink and drinking is a sin, I hate to tell you, but you really are wrong.
Jesus did drink.
I know, but people try to justify that and say, "Oh, but it was new wine, or Jesus make the wine so you couldn't get drunk."
Yeah.
It was wine when Jesus was at Cana. The guy they already blazed, and the guy drank the wine and said, "Oh, you got the good stuff." So obviously, if anyone knows about wine, the wino at the party would know about the wine, if it was good or not. But that would be a situation where, or maybe so you have homework.
Yeah.
You're supposed to do homework. You didn't do the homework. The teacher's disappointed in you.
Yeah.
It's a bad thing. It's a stupid thing not to do the homework. It's not sinful.
But if your parents told you to do it and you don't do it, then you're disobeying your parents. And the Bible says you should honor your parents. Is that a sin then?
No. It's a stupid thing. Because it doesn't mean that you're a slave to your parents. You have to do everything you want. And the honor thing really has to do more with making sure you take care of your parents when they get older.
Really? Mm-hmm. People don't want to hear that.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that. Well, I got to take care of somebody? Oh, man.
I thought I did that with my kids.
Exactly. I thought I was free. No. But anyway, so to address what our listener wrote about, woo, I have to tell you.
That's a tough one.
No, it's just oversimplified. To assume that if it's not in the Bible, specifically stated in the Bible, then you don't have to worry about sinning. That's ridiculous. I mean...
Why is it ridiculous?
Because the Bible is written in a certain period of time, and there are things that have happened, been discovered, been created, invented since that particular period of time. If you did that, then, okay, I can watch pornography because the Bible...
On TV, maybe not in the book, because there might have been...
It might have been wrong in the book back then.
Yeah.
Exactly. But if I'm watching it at home on Netflix, then that's okay because Netflix isn't named in the Bible. I mean, this line of thinking, there's all kinds of crazy stuff I can do. The Bible doesn't specifically say I cannot take cocaine. So therefore, when I go to church on Sunday, not only will I be watching Netflix pornography, but I will also be sniffing cocaine because the Bible doesn't specifically say not to. But that's ridiculous. Come on.
To take, to help the listener out here, don't you think that the listener meant principles?
No.
Okay. Sorry. I tried.
I think that the listener, but I mean it's
because
I
think
a person. Yeah, but I think that a lot of times we want to have really clear, simplified, black and white answers, and the answers are not necessarily like that. I think they're more complicated. I do believe there is an answer, and I do believe that, as the listener wrote, that the answer is in the Bible. I do believe that. I believe there is. I cannot think. And here's a challenge, listeners. I do not believe there is one situation in life that the Bible doesn't directly or indirectly apply to. And I've been saying this now for, I don't know, almost 50 years, and no one has ever met that challenge. So I'm waiting for someone to come up with a situation where I cannot apply either directly, because the Bible says something directly, indirectly by applying a principle from the Bible.
But don't you think that the listener meant that if we go back to the pornography thing, I mean, the Bible's clear about that you should not lust after people and stuff. And
that's a bad example.
Yeah, but I'm using your example. And the listener maybe meant that, well, it speaks specifically about lust. So in consequence or in relation to that, pornography is maybe not a good thing.
Yeah, but the listener did write this. It says that if it is not mentioned in the Bible, it is not in any way there's a risk of sinning. Okay. So that doesn't. I mean, writing that specifically means that obviously the listener is thinking that somehow in a very simplified way that it has to be named in the Bible. There's a lot of people out there who think that. Okay. So there's a lot of people, both Christian and non-Christian, who believe that if it's not specifically named, then there's no way to apply that. But that's just a really bad way of looking at.
Because then you can get away with a lot of
stuff. You could justify all kinds of crazy, sick, freaky behavior, bad behavior. I mean, So I think that the truth is that I would ask the listener to do this. Take my challenge. Give me 2 or 3 situations in which you feel that because it's not specifically named in the Bible, and bring as much context as you can into that situation. Because obviously, as we're looking at it, there are principles in the Bible, things like, so the Bible talks, here's an example of a principle. The Bible says that you should have even weight. You shouldn't have dishonest weights when you're doing things. And so it talks
What's that?
So a weight is like a thing that weighs a certain amount. On a scale. You stick on the scale and it goes like that. And so sometimes people would have, so say like if it's supposed to be an ounce, and what I would do is maybe I add a little bit to my little weight here. So it's not really an ounce, maybe an ounce and a half, an ounce and 3/4. But that little bit of extra gives me a little bit extra profit every now and then. And what that does is
You're cheating.
Exactly. So then you could think about that. Okay, well, how would I apply that principle? Well, just look at business practice. The businesses should not be doing things that cheat people. So one day when I used to work as a chef, the owner of the restaurant, he says, listen, he goes, I know that we're advertising that the steaks weigh 300 grams. He goes, but if you shave off a little bit, if you did 270, 260, no one can tell the difference.
Wow.
Because they're not that trained. He goes, but if you did that, we would make, and he gave me the figure how much more money, we would make like a lot of money.
Yeah. Also.
And I told him, because I thought about that principle, you should have honest weights.
Yeah.
If you say it's 300, it should be 300. If and so I'm like, nope, I can't do that. He's like, what do you mean? Of course you can. I'm like, fire me now. I'm like, I am a Christian, and the Bible tells us that we shouldn't have dishonest weights. If we're gonna cut it back, then we put it on the menu. We've decided
270 grams.
Yes, exactly. And he was like really angry with me.
Yeah, obviously, because you cheated him on his cheated money.
Exactly. He was looking to get that extra money by cheating, but there's a principle. So the Bible doesn't say anything about cutting steaks.
No, it doesn't.
But it does have this principle about that in business practices, you should have, honest and transparent transactions. And so you could apply that to a lot of different kinds of things. Like you don't mark up. So if I owned a clothing store, I wouldn't go and mark up everything, 40% more and then give a 20% discount.
But that's what people do, though.
But it's dishonest.
Yeah, but it's
unbiblical.
That's what a lot of clothes chains do. Yeah, but that's why Jonas is my husband. He's always suspicious. But like, oh, it's 50% off, and he's like, so how much did they put on it before they put it on 50% off?
But maybe there's honest stores. I wouldn't say every store does that.
Yeah, didn't we talk last time about how people are intrinsically bad?
No. Actually, we did make a decision. We just referred to the fact that there's depravity, total depravity, partial depravity, or innately good, and we never
make a decision on
I said that I believe that people are definitely not innately good. I think that's the only thing I said. So. I'm not sure how depraved people are, but I think that we're pretty depraved.
Yeah, I think we're so blind we can't see that.
Yeah.
We're like used to being bad, so we don't know how the different would be to be good.
Yeah, I mean, a child who comes in and says something really rude, we often think, oh, but it's so cute. But what the child really did was something really bad. Yeah. Because if I, as an adult, did that, so.
But then you would say to people, oh, but it's a child; he doesn't know what you're saying.
So one day I'm in the store, and this lady, she's got a red dress on with white fur. And my sons,
Santa Claus,
they stand up in the car, and I'm pushing them around this store, and they just scream, "It's Santa Claus!" I'm so ashamed, and they're like so excited. It's Santa Claus! It's Santa Claus! It's Santa Claus! and everyone's like laughing, and people are thinking like, "Oh, it's cute." But if I had done it, as an adult, it's in the middle of the store, just said, it's Santa Claus. She's wearing Santa Claus clothes. Then all of a sudden, people don't think it's cute.
No.
But it's actually really the same thing, and it's equally as bad. It's just that at some level, our depravity makes us accept a certain level of sin, stupidness, meanness, evilness. And because for some people, that level is higher than for other people. And so if I compare myself to other people, I can always find someone who's worse than me.
Obviously.
But if every person is compared to God, then every person sees just how far they really are from what real perfection is.
But then people are always like, oh, it's enough for me to be just like everyone else.
No.
And at least there's someone under me, so it doesn't make me the worst one. Because I think in order for you to compare yourself to God, I mean, this discrepancy, you gotta bridge that somehow.
Oh. Well, I mean, if you compare yourself to God, the only reason you can do that is that you honestly really think that you're that good.
No, I mean, if you compare yourself to God, and you should always come to the conclusion that, nah, I'm not that good.
But it depends on what God you compare yourself to.
Ah, true.
The God that I created for myself.
That you created.
always makes me look good.
Oh, wow.
The God in the Bible doesn't
Always
make
makes me good bad.
Yeah, he's a little too perfect, so it doesn't really work so much to compare myself to him. But that's the truth of reality. So
are you saying that? For me, I think what I reacted on was in no risk of sinning. I think you're always in risk of sinning.
Well, yeah, but I don't think the person meant it in that way. I think they just meant that in this sort of really wooden approach to looking at the scripture, that that you're not in risk of sinning if the Bible doesn't address that.
Yeah.
Obviously, then it's a non-issue, a non sequitur. And I'm like, no, that's not really true. So, I mean, think like this. So there's no law in the very beginning part of the Bible. Why is it wrong that Cain killed his brother Abel?
Exactly.
There was no law.
No, it was before God said, "You shall not kill."
So, but even then, it was wrong. It was wrong when Abraham lied about Sarah being his sister instead of his wife. Why does God hold him responsible for that? Because there are certain principles somehow.
Even before
God has instilled in people, or he communicated to people his divine law. So every person, even when you're really young, when someone takes something from you, something that's yours, and someone takes it from you, you instantaneously react against that, and you think that something's
wrong. And no
wrong.
one taught you.
No.
As a kid, no one taught you.
Someone says, okay,
you have to be angry now.
Oh, someone took your bottle. Get revenge. And often what we're doing with our children is that because of the natural tendency towards evil, we always have to teach them. We teach them to be good. We never teach them to be bad. And I know that this flies in the face. Some people will say, "Hey, but children are just born innocent." Not really.
If you look at them, how they behave and
children are
treat
selfish.
each other, it's like
selfish. They use violence.
They lie.
Lie. Doesn't take. I mean, my oldest son has Down syndrome, and when he was caught doing something, he would lie about it.
Yeah, no, me too.
Never taught him how to lie. Lying came natural.
When she hit someone else and we asking, "Did she do it?" She's like, "No."
Yeah,
no.
And it's not like you don't have to teach your kids that. Don't naturally pick up on lying and things like that. And what you're trying to do is to teach. No, but you should tell the truth. Why do we teach kids that? Because we know. So innately, what we're proving is how the depravity thing works. And if that's the case, then instead of telling people maybe that there's no risk of sinning, and because it's not specifically named in the Bible, maybe instead we should say, even though it's not specifically named, it might still fall under a category where a principle can be applied. I think if the person looked at it that way, then they would probably maybe change their view. They should at least change their view. I'm declaring
that you should change your view.
Yes.
So by knowing this, how does it help us to navigate in life?
Boy, I mean, at some point, if you're going to make a decision and you're trying to make a good decision or a bad decision, you just have to have a standard. How do I know when I get into a car, I'm supposed to put the key into the ignition and turn it? Because in the manual, even if in the manual you open up and it says this is how you start the car. It's a standard. It's an instruction. And that instruction teaches me the correct way to start the car and what kind of gasoline to put in it when it's, only unleaded. I can't put leaded gas into a car that's designed, and the instruction book says all these things. So when I do that, when I go to the gas pump and I put leaded gas into my unleaded car and now it doesn't work and I go to the dealership, man, you sold me a bad car. He's like, but in the instructions.
And I told you, and so it says there.
And so now all of a sudden that standard makes me responsible. And it means I can't now I can't get any help or reparation of the car that the dealership would have to pay for because I didn't follow the instructions. There's a consequence for that.
I made a bad decision.
I made a wrong decision. I made a stupid decision because I didn't listen to the standard. I didn't listen to the rules and apply the rules correctly to my situation.
What about when people say, but everyone has different rules, everyone has a different standard?
Sure, they do. But since the listener wrote from the Bible and is writing from a Christian perspective, and says that the answer is in the Bible, if that's the case, then according to this listener, then the standard that they're using for determining right or wrong is the Bible, and therefore a careful study of the Bible and understanding the text should then provide a person with the basis for right behavior. But it can't make them choose. That's the problem. The problem that even if the Bible said everything specific about life, you would still have to choose that. And because you can choose that, you cannot choose that. And therefore, there's no guarantee that the person would make a good decision or choose a correct decision just because it's in the Bible.
Like the thing I had with my dilemma that I wrote to Ed. So my mom asked me to do something which I know is not a good decision. It's bad. It goes against my standard. And I told her so, but she's just keep pushing. So I really had to make a decision. What should I do? And it wasn't a really easy decision to do that. Even I know what the standard says, even though I know what God says, and I know what my mom wants, and I know why she wants it. I mean, even if you know all the facts, it doesn't make your decision easier.
No. And it doesn't make the decision for you.
No.
You have to, for some reason, God has given us enough freedom of choice or freedom so that we can actually make a decision.
But it's so hard sometimes to make decisions.
Yes and no.
You always say, just make a decision. I'm like, well, it's hard.
It's not that hard. Stop whining. Be a man. Okay.
I can't be a man.
Yes, you can.
I don't want to be a man.
If you think hard enough, you'll start to grow a beard in 2 days.
I don't want to have a beard.
Then we can. You're really cute with a beard.
No, I look like my brother. We used that filter, so I really looked like my brother. It was horrible.
That's so cute. Oh my gosh. Oh well. I forgot what I was going to say. I had something deep. Oh well.
Deep?
No, probably not so deep.
No. It was more like, yeah. So you said applying it would mean that just make good decisions.
Yeah.
Using a standard.
So making a decision is often quite easy. What's difficult is the consequence of that decision. That's usually what stops us. So in your situation, if you knew that making a decision wouldn't cost you anything,
yeah,
then it would be easier to make the decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you could say no to your mom and she would be like, oh, it's okay, Lynn.
But she did that the first time. And we're like,
yeah,
off the hook.
And then she came back.
Even worse. I'm like,
she came back with mama guilt.
No.
She's like, I got some mama guilt on this sandwich. Eat the sandwich. Because I got something to tell you. You know what I asked you to do? And I said it was okay.
But
it's not really okay because you're disappointing me, evil daughter.
Yeah, but actually what I felt was like, I just wanted it to go away. I just didn't want to make this. I just like, maybe she forgets about it.
Wow.
Or maybe something else will turn up. So I don't have to make the decision, That's how I felt like, maybe it will resolve by itself.
That's not good.
Well, that's when you're in that situation, you just want to, you just want it to go away so you don't have to make the decision.
Well, if you guys want to listen to it, I think I need to give Lynn a session right now. So if any of you want to hear that session, you need to write back to us on our comments. If you get 100 people that say they want to listen to the session, you can hear me giving Lynn spiritual advice. The session when you lay down on the couch, I'm going to say, so Lynn, this problem that you have here. And
no.
I'm going to say, when did it start? You're going to say, it all started when I was just a little kid.
Like a therapy session. No,
back in Germany, I was just like, you just have no idea. I was just plagued me my whole life. I'd be like, well then, let's deal with that inner child issue right now.
The inner child issue.
You're like, okay. Thank you, Pastor Ed. You saved my life. And then it'll be a testimony. And
wow. You've watched too much Green Leaves. You watch too much Green Leaves on Netflix, man.
We're not advocating that you should watch Green Leaves, but it's a really good series.
Yeah.
It makes people not want to go to church.
Yeah, exactly. It makes you lose faith in Christianity, but that's fine.
Well, I just lose faith in people. I'm just like, I knew people were just that stupid. I know people just like that.
But thank you, Ed, for all your thoughts and
thank you, Lynn, for all your
insights.
Questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're a good team.
Yeah, I know we are. We should have done this years ago.
Because we make good decisions.
No. I don't think people would say that. If they knew the decisions you and I make together, they're like, kill them now. We have to stop it before the evil spreads. Well, everyone, thanks a lot for listening to us. Feel free to keep writing comments. I hope the person who wrote this understands we're just responding to that, and we reserve the right to change our minds and our opinions as we grow in grace and we're growing in understanding.
Information.
Yes, there are always other things I could have asked you also, but that's just the way we roll. Mm-hmm. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for listening to Fika for Life. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening. If you have any comments or ideas, please send us a message to fikaforlife@mail.com. Fika, F-I-K-A. This was the Fika for Life podcast with Linh and Edward Thomas, and we hope to hear you again.